Travis Hunter is gone, Shedeur Sanders is gone, Colorado didn't even beat Georgia Tech, but Deion Sanders and I are going to find a way to get back on track. I'll be rebuilding Colorado today until we win a national championship, the Buffalo's first one since 1990. The program isn't in a terrible spot either. I'm pretty happy with where this roster's at. Senior quarterback Caden Salter will lead this team in season 1. After that, we're going to have freshman Julian Lewis. As long as he doesn't transfer out, his ceiling is sky high. I'm pretty excited to have him as a part of this roster. What I very quickly realized, though, was he needed to be surrounded by good offensive linemen, so that's a position group that we're going to completely rebuild. There's a few guys that I want out of high school, and then we're also going to be targeting that once we get to the transfer portal period. Then we're going to focus on some defensive players as well, especially athletes. See, the thing about these athlete thumpers are they're extremely quick, so you could get somebody with 90 speed like Jamison Tigner that's going to be an amazing linebacker, but we have to land him first. Currently, we're competing with a couple schools from Texas. You'd also notice I had a couple 5 stars on our board, but one of them's already locked us out because we lost one game. For whatever reason, us dropping one to Georgia Tech was just too much for him to handle, but we don't want someone soft like that at this program anyway. As we look at our schedule, our toughest games are going to come once we get to Big 12 play. That's pretty encouraging though that the rest of this first season could go very well for us. We're going to hop into this one with Delaware coming to town. We just have to make sure here that we don't fully embarrass ourselves by losing to the Blue Hens. As you can see, we've driven down the field pretty easily so far on our first drive. We're tearing this defense apart. Michael Welch has nowhere to go though. So if we don't pick up this 3rd and goal, we might just have to settle for a field goal. And we got the flag. We got the flag. There was some holding going on there. I was trying to put up my hands to catch that ball in the end zone. It's going to bail us out, though, making sure that we start with a touchdown. From this moment, if we don't run away with it, it's going to be a very long year. But we didn't. Somehow, we're only up by a point, and we got guys slipping on their routes. I simply just simmed to this point, but it's got me more concerned than ever before. Because with about a minute and a half left, we're only going to have a 4-point lead. Alejandro Mata, great kicker though. It'll be nice to have him in our bag. We still need to come up with a stop. I don't even want to think about what social media would do if Colorado actually lost this game. We're not making the tackle, though, which makes it 3rd and 6. I just don't feel like they're going to be able to dissect our defense. They can't. All right, we got the crowd getting pumped up. Stadium pulse on our side. Big play right here. We're just going to tackle them a little late. And it has got me really, really concerned as they once again find a receiver. Zach Marker is giving Delaware a chance. An opportunity they should never have in the first place versus the Buffaloes. But there's another first down. Eventually, we just got to stop giving up some of these deeper plays. They take their shot to the end zone, and we're trying to swat it away. It's sprinkling. The ball is still a little bit more slippery than it should be, but I can't say that made the entire difference there. After spiking the ball, it looks like Delaware's just going to take a couple of shots to the end zone. And we're going to catch it with King, which means this game's over. Noah King has locked in the win for the Buffaloes, only by 4 points. Again, pretty concerning. But Michael Welch got shut down when he tried to run the ball. Clearly, about 25 to 30 players on this roster are already not happy with the team, so they're at risk at transferring at the end of this season. Nobody was impressed with our 4-point win over Delaware either, which means we're not going to stand a chance at George Lindsey. Our championship contender grade is not going to be high enough. However, on 5-star receiver Clyde Fisher, I think we got a pretty good chance here with that being our hard sell. The only problem is even though he is platinum cutter, he has 85 speed, so we're going to have to upgrade his speed early on. The kid's from Washington, so the Huskies are going to put up a good fight. Then I'm just going to briefly mention Jim running back Jeff Stockton. This is a kid from Colorado. We wanted to keep him in the state. He's a contact seeker. Of course, speed, another player we're going to have to improve. But all around, I think we're going to be able to make some pretty good signings, and I'm going to have guys on a visit week 5 against BYU where we could get a huge win. If we could just pull that one off, that would help us close out a lot of battles, so we're going to simulate to that week. And before we could even play that game, we have picked up our first 4-star signing with this right guard. I kind of expected us to take down both Houston and Wyoming. Those games shouldn't have been too difficult, but we're about to face off against number 16 BYU, a team that is currently sitting at 3-0, undefeated, even though they lost their quarterback a couple weeks before the season started because he broke that BYU honor code. We tell guys they don't have to follow that here at Colorado, but it still is not getting us some of these offensive line recruits that are either locking us out out, or they don't want to come here now because our playing style is not good enough. Before we head into that matchup, I'd like to point out that there are currently 5 teams from the Big 12 that are ranked inside that top 25. And I believe if we pull this one off at home, we can be number 6. We really don't want to lose this one either because we've already been put out of multiple recruiting battles for positions like offensive line that we needed. But I don't know if we're going to be able to actually close it out as they've started to come back. There was a moment where it was 19-0, but then the fourth quarter hit and the Cougars started playing a lot better. I really don't want them to get the football back, so we're trying to pick up a first down. But that pass did not work, which means we're going to need Caden Salter to deliver right here. And he didn't. The senior quarterback should be making throws like that one. I don't know how LJ Martin just held onto that football either. Catching a rocket like that, he took it like a champ. This is what we want though. A fourth down stop. We got burnt on the slant, but he didn't see it. Okay, BYU still has all 3 of their timeouts, but 1 first down would do it for us. And we're getting closer. I will say, Michael Welch might be the least enjoyable running back to use. He has no abilities. He's not that fast. So I will not mind trying to find a better one through the portal. We have an underneath throw, and I think we have enough. It was close, but the refs gave us the right spot so we can take a knee. BYU might have put up a good fight, but we have taken down a top 16 team at home. It didn't lead to anybody committing, but it gave us a massive boost to Clyde Fisher. He should commit next week. We'd be getting a 5-star in here, and we're about to go on the road to play at TCU. Maybe we shouldn't have skipped over that game though, because it made the Horned Frogs ranked. They beat us by 3 points, and now we have to go up against number 6 Iowa State. It also means that we're about to fall down a little bit in the Big 12 standings, but this is nothing that we can't bounce back from. There's a long season ahead of us. We still got Clyde Fisher to commit. We still got 4-star Jim Jeff Stockton, up to 4 signings with this class. Things are headed in the right direction, but if you look at all of these recruits that we're in battles for, they are on a week 7 visit, so what we have got to do is somehow win. Even if the Cyclones are undefeated, I have faith in this team. This is a good Buffaloes roster, though our overalls dropped, so I have to check the injury report. There's only a few players on it. Simeon Price, backup running back, Jaheim Modis, our starting defensive tackle, so we're missing 1 good starter. Normally, that wouldn't be the end of the world, but whenever you're trying to take down a really good team like Iowa State, you need any advantage you can get. Without him, stopping the Cyclones has been really difficult for us as they've just run all over, and they just took a 2-possession lead with 6 minutes remaining. It doesn't help that Caden Salter's not played the best game in the world with 2 interceptions. He's going to help us pick up this 3rd and 9 though. If we're actually going to pull off the comeback though, clock management needs to be a little bit better. As you can see right now, we have gotten it down to 3 minutes left, but that juke was just filthy. The walk into the end zone, filthy. Everything about it, great football. I am going to go for the 2-point conversion now, just so we know if we're going to have to get a touchdown or if we're going to have to somehow come back down 2 possessions. We've already started to use some of our timeouts, and as they go underneath, we missed the tackle. Luckily, they ran out of bounds, which is good news for us, though we're getting shook by Carson Hansen. He is 148 yards on the ground. I was not kidding about him literally running all over us. Rocco Beck's kept it as well. He's going to be in field goal range. This game's over unless we let them get in. Doing that's harder than I thought, though. Please don't make the tackle. Just get into the end zone. I need all of our guys to back up. We don't want them to go for any type of tackle. Just throw for the touchdown or give us a chance at a pick. All right, so the odds are obviously not looking very good from this point, but we still have 2 timeouts left. So if we can get a quick score, there is that hope. That is the start that we needed right there. Now we're going to hit our crosser. Williams gets out of bounds. But where was this all game out of Caden Salter? Just now, he's starting to play a lot better. I might have jinxed it, though, because now it's 3rd and 10, where we might as well just try and use his legs on the ground. But you can't get tackled or fumble. That's it. You know what, though? Carson Hansen, with his 170 yards on the ground, we didn't deserve to win this game. That result basically guaranteed that every player that was on a visit that week, we're going to lose out on, besides Glenn Carden, though it's going to come down to the wire for him, and we're still sending the house because we can't hard sell when 2 of his interests are this bad. If you thought this first season was going to play out super well for us, I'm starting to realize that it probably isn't. We're about to go on the road at our rivals Utah. We'll see how this turns out. But it just became another loss because we gave up 13 points in the 4th quarter. I'm going to be simulating the rest of this season. It's basically just over. There's no hope left. Boise State is going to beat us out for a recruit. We just lost this athlete thumper to Oklahoma, and he was the one with 90 speed. Then there was this 4-star Jim Gadget receiver that we just swayed. Georgia's entered the picture, but I think our hard sell is going to be good enough because he is all A's for his interests. After finalizing some of the stuff in recruiting that I wanted to, I think we should just go ahead, get into the final weeks of the season. season, there's no reason for me to micromanage the rest of recruiting. We're either going to sign players or we're not, all while going to 7-4, getting us back inside the top 25. Well, that was not the run that I was expecting. We beat Arizona by 6 points, we beat West Virginia by 2, and we beat Arizona State by 7. Making it to the conference championship game still feels out of reach unless both TCU and Texas Tech lose this week and we somehow have this tiebreaker. Either way, though, I'm hoping to see some more commits as we scroll down this board. Boise State stole that defensive tackle, though we're beating out UCLA for the edge. Unfortunately, the gadget receiver still chose the Bulldogs. At least we're already guaranteed to make it to a bowl game, though, and we could finish this season 8-4. Well, we have taken down Kansas State 38-13, but I'm more upset at the fact that after discovering this edge was a gem by scouting him, we lost him to UCLA. He flipped in the final week. I tried so hard to recruit for this defense, and there's still so many battles that I just don't think we're going to pull out. The transfer portal is going to be incredibly important for us, especially if we want to compete with teams next season, like Iowa State, that are coming off of an undefeated one. I think we can shine in that department, though. Deion Sanders is an elite recruiter. He shines using the transfer portal, and if we ever get some more coach points, we could upgrade talent developer, which would make some of our players progress faster. No matter what, we are taking Colorado away from all these rough years that they've had recently. We're going to get them another 9-4 season. We just need our bowl opponent to be somebody that we can take down. We're going to be facing off against South Carolina. Facing Lenore Sellers is not going to be fun, but that's who we have to face. We're going to get star development on the receiver out of Hawaii. We're going to have elite development out of Steve Moffitt. He was from California. Star dev again on Athlete Thumpers. So we're seeing good dev traits on a lot of these players we've recruited. Then we got hit with our first normal. Of course, it's the offensive line where we needed high progression. Jeff Stockton's a star, and then our 5-star receiver, Clyde Fisher, is impact. As for our actual team and how they played throughout the year, Caden Salter didn't have the best of seasons ever. I feel like Julian Lewis can do better than that next year. Michael Welch didn't rush for that much, though he averaged 4.5 yards per carry. He's only a sophomore, so the kid still does have time to improve, though we're going to have to up that quickness. His elusiveness can't get much better. And what that means is getting these abilities like 360, sidestep, maybe even shifty, are not going to be possible, so that's why he doesn't feel as good on the ground. I think during the transfer portal, we'll still try and pivot away from him. Joseph Williams, though, sophomore receiver, he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver next year. Hakeem Williams might be able to as well. We're seeing some good numbers there. Our tackling leader, Martavis French, he's graduating. He's a senior, so he's going to be gone. Our sack leader, also going to be a senior. And then Samuel, our second sack leader, he wants to transfer out. Between graduates and the about 20 players that want to transfer out, mainly due to the pro potential grade not being met, we're losing more talent than I was thinking. But this is something that Deion Sanders can handle. I'm sure we're going to recruit well. South Carolina averaging 39 points per game headed into our bowl game. They're going to be tough to stop on offense, like I said. But I have some faith that we're still going to find a way to pull this out. Caden Salter started his college career at Liberty. He has ended up at Colorado, and he's trying to end his season with a bang. He wants to go out solid. And with a play like that, he's going out well. You know what type of pressure this puts on our defense, though, who is South Carolina on a 3rd and 7. What we can't do is press the Gamecocks. We know Nick Harbor would beat us deep. They were able to get the first down, though, and they've continued to drive down the field. This is not good. If we can't stop them here, we're out of this game. I tried to let them get into the end zone, but they've just continued to run down this clock, leaving us with 24 seconds and a dream. Our first play is going to have to be over the middle. It's dropped by Hakeem Williams. Never mind, that one was Joseph Williams. I think Hakeem Williams is in the slot right here, though, and they were sticking with him. I threw it straight to that guy. He dropped back the way he should have. I just had to hope that he guarded someone that wasn't there at all, and it did not work. Shane Beamer might have handed us our 5th loss of the season, but Caden Salter set the Colorado single-season passing yards record. I don't know why, but I thought Shedeur Sanders threw for more than 3,383 last year. I think it was his record before it just became Salter's. Maybe not, though. The Cyclones, by the way, lost in the quarterfinals in their first playoff game, so that just shows you how weak the Big 12 was versus some of these other schools. At least they put up a good fight. They did lose to the national champions. I just have a feeling in the future of this rebuild, we're going to be able to win the Big 12 multiple years in a row before we can win an actual title. As you can see, lots of players want to transfer and leave, and I don't think we can get them to come back. I convinced a 66 overall to stay, but if I was going to try on somebody like DJ McKinney, our 89 overall corner, he's not coming. We failed to make him come, and for guys like Noah King, a freshman free safety that was making good plays for us, he helped us close out a game. We can't get him either. So it was just a bunch of failed persuasion persuasions alongside the fact that we have these other players graduating, and that's going to take a big hit to this roster. It is a good thing, though, that Caden Salter got drafted because this is going to make a major difference. Our freshman quarterback, Juju Lewis's deal breaker is pro potential, and that has gone up from a B to a B+, so we can make him better without him wanting to transfer. I just noticed he has 14 skill points to spend, by the way. I'm not sure how they got here, but we're going to use them on stuff like IQ and accuracy. What I've done for this rebuild is I've just left auto progress players on, so I'm not going to have control over how these players progress. I figured that'd make things more interesting, but for whatever reason, it let us spend some points there, which was nice. I guess we'll have to check that in the future. We have a deal breaker on this long name that I never wanted to have to pronounce. It's actually a good thing he's not coming to Colorado. Our coach prestige went from an A+ to a C in just one season. Since that's what I've been recruiting a lot of these players off of, it's going to cause most of this class to transfer, which means our transfer portal class has got to be better. And out of curiosity, I just had to see what transfers are interested in us off the rip. DeAndre Moore Jr., he'd be a great receiver add-on, but Devin Dampier from Utah, he's coming over to a rival school. He would be incredible. If we end up getting him, I feel bad for Juju Lewis, but we can't pass up on a quarterback of his caliber. I also think it'd be incredible if we were able to get Carson Hansen out of the portal. This is the kid from Iowa State that rushed for 170 yards on us. He wants to transfer despite them going 13-1. After a week, it does seem like Nebraska's going to win out on him, but we have decided that outside of players like that, I'm going after a ton of offensive linemen, because if we're not going to sign some of those 4-star transfers, we might as well bring in an offensive line that's going to help us. Unfortunately, if we look at some of the high schoolers we're still targeting, Florida State's not giving up on that linebacker. Georgia Tech's not giving up here either. None of these are guarantees. By the way, Carson Hansen is pretty much just a pipe dream at this point. We are going to guess his hard sell, but I don't think we got it right. Or maybe we did, which is a great thing because Bryson Donaldson locked us out of his top 3, but we have jumped up to number 2 on the running back I wanted so bad, Carson Hansen. We're also closing in on Devin Dampier. Our playing time grade was an A+ before this 4th week. I think it's just a bug. That's why it says it's an F at the moment. We're so close. He's coming on a visit. Oregon just has a slight lead. So I'm expecting, as I click through this long list of players that have committed, we're going to eventually see his name. It might just take us a little bit. Well, it turns out it never popped up. Devin Dampier actually went to Oregon, and then we lost out on DeAndre Moore Jr. He chose USC, Hansen chose Nebraska. We weren't able to pull out any of those battles like I thought that we were going to, which means Jeff Stockton is the only running back that we signed this year. There were no other elite dev players in our class either. I was scanning for them. We signed a top 20 class, which if you compare that to the rest of the Big 12, it is the best one in our conference. But I was hoping for even better. There's also going to be the deal breaker on a lot of these guys. Like we can move Sean Willie over to linebacker, but he cares about coach prestige, so he's going to transfer out with his 87 speed there. It's also come to my attention, we only have 2 quarterbacks in our quarterback room. I didn't recruit as well as I thought I did, but we can go down the talent developer pathway and we can make sure that certain positions progress even faster. I think the first one I want to do that for is our offensive line. My hope is as we click into training results, we can see that that made a massive difference. We have a 95 overall Jordan Seaton. He's going to get drafted in the first round, declaring early on. Joseph Williams is up to an 88. Julian Lewis is sitting at an 84. We improved his accuracy. I'm sure the computer decided to start focusing on other things. It looks like it was throw power because at one point that was a 90. You know what though? As we look at the speed of some of these running backs, Michael Welch got the attention that he needed at that position, so much so that he became running back too. Transfer Trey'Dez Green is going to be our best tight end for the next couple years, and our receivers also got a lot better. Cam McKell has 96 speed. He's an 84 overall. He's only a sophomore. He cares about brand exposure with his star development. He can even get faster, but his route running is always going to be hindered. At the end of the day, we took this roster from an 86 overall last season to a 91 this season. Overall doesn't matter that much in this game, but I think if you look at our depth overall wise compared to last year, we did go up by like 1 or 2 at every position. So I'm going to have some higher expectations. Championship contender, currently sitting at number 16, so we might be able to find our way into the playoff this year. I love that we're starting the season ranked too. Bryce Hester, by the way, #1 player player in the country, he is interested in our school. He only has 86 speed, and he's gonna be a bust, but even though he busted, I still want this kid. After finding out that 5-star receiver Tobias Kemp with his 93 speed might also consider our school though, it means we're gonna get a deal breaker on Bryce Hester, and I'm not sure if we're gonna land him. I'll only be able to target him in the future if it doesn't work out with some of those other receivers first. Considering we started on Bryce Hester's board, we've already fallen to 5th place. This might be a bad decision, but I would much rather pursue a receiver that's gonna be a higher overall, that's not as worried about earning playing time. Time will tell though whether or not that was the right move, and we're opening up the season against Georgia Tech. This is a game that Colorado lost last year. It's gonna go different this time around, 26-14. We play Northwestern and FCS West before we get into Big 12 play, and I think this is a playoff team. I know it was one game. I know Georgia Tech is not the best, and we're dealing with a freshman quarterback in Juju Lewis, but he went for over 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and I'm gonna get to play with him for the first time as we go on the road to Northwestern. The Wildcats are currently sitting at 2-0, but I didn't look at their schedule, so it might have been against easier opponents, which means 2-0 doesn't matter much. I just figured there's a lot of room for error with this young team still, which is why we're only up by 5 in the final 90 seconds. That first down might move the chains for Northwestern, but they got a long way to go. Our offense has done a good job of scoring a lot in this game to put us in this position. And this is a massive 4th and 7 where I left the running back open, so they're going to get a big gain, but they aren't going to go for much more. That wrap-up tackle just saved us completely. There's still 45 seconds left, but the Wildcats are currently out of timeouts. Time is not on their side. That was an awful read, but guess what? They were still able to catch the football, and I saw the short route underneath. We couldn't get there in time, but we didn't need to. Now they're left with only 15 seconds left. We're sitting back there in a cover 3, and it did well. Apparently that was 4th down, and I didn't even realize it. That is going to do it. Colorado takes the win. So we're about to go up against an FCS school, and that means we're going to start this season 3-0. Apparently in that matchup, safety Aiden Manutaya, someone I got in the transfer portal, was able to set a single game interceptions record here at Colorado. He somehow had 4 against them. They just kept throwing him the ball. I thought with numbers like that, we would have won by more than just 38-6. But either way, there is now a safety that is breaking out on this team, and he's our backup at the moment as well, which is just incredible. But I think he's going to take us very far in the future. For our next game against Texas Tech, we're both 3-0. We're both sitting inside the top 15, so we can't just skip over. Though with the water coming up from the ground, you can see things are going to be wet, and that'll make things more interesting. It's not taken long for us to find our way into the end zone as we've just slipped our way through. But ever since that moment, we haven't been able to reach the end zone again. We also almost had our hands on that ball, but didn't get it. So Texas Tech is in a really good position, but we could still stop them. I'm really just trying to make sure that they aren't able to get more than a field goal out of this drive. It's about to be 3rd and 16. Marcel Reed transferred over there though. He's one of the reasons that they've been so good this season. We've got to get off of those blocks, and we did. All right, maybe their kicker will slip or something here. He is going to just hit it. But this gives Juju Lewis the opportunity to really make a name for himself here. Man-to-man coverage this play. We're just going to have to throw it out. On 2nd and 10, it looks like they're going to leave Hestra open underneath. So we'll take the simple first down, and that is a wide open Omarion Miller. He currently has 8 catches for 124 yards on the day. We're looking for him, but he's getting clamped up by that man-to-man coverage, which is why Juju Lewis is just going to take the open space. He's seeing the field pretty clearly, and he's going to be able to find Tredez Green as well. Picking up him in the portal was great for our offense. We should have him back next year too. We're going to have Simeon Price taking us to the 4, but we've almost gotten down in this position a little bit too fast, so we're going to go down in bounds. That allows the clock to run down to about 20 seconds left. It's some great clock management, though they might pick this ball. We should have just run it, which is what we're going to do here. They're giving us a very favorable look, and we're in. Do not count Texas Tech out of this game, though, until the clock hits 0. They've been able to get to midfield. They're going to send up their Hail Mary attempt. It's going to be caught, but we're good. Our mascot can celebrate in the stands with the fans because we were able to close this one out. It's a good win for the program, and we have our rivals, Utah, coming up next, who's only a 71 overall. Before I show you the result of that game, I will say there are some harsh truths about this recruiting class that we're just going to have to accept. We're not going to get the Jim 4-star receiver, and we're also not going to get 5-star Tobias Kemp because the bigger schools want to go after them, and they're getting leads. At least we still have a chance on Roy Carmen, but we're going to have to win our visit week against Houston. And headed into that game, because because we beat our rivals by 35 points, because we just edged out Cincinnati by 1 on the road at Nippert Stadium, we are sitting at number 5 in the country, undefeated, 6-0. I can only hop into one more game this season, which I'm going to do against Arizona State, but from the looks of it, we're going to make the Big 12 championship. We're set up to make it to the playoffs, and all we have to do is just keep on winning. It's now Deion Sanders' 4th year at Colorado, so it makes sense he's building up momentum. He has signed 5-star Roy Carmen, and I'm expecting some more signings to follow too. He has finally been able to make a lot of progress with this team, but if you look at the players that want to transfer, there's still about 20 that are going to try and leave us at the end of the year. Surprisingly, a lot of them are receivers, even though Draylon Miller just went for 239 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's been obvious over the past few seasons, receivers flourish at Colorado. It's the reason 4-star Stephon Richard just committed. He is our only signing on offense at the moment in this class. We're trying to give a bunch of unwanted 4-stars a home as well, as we've seen some of these guys are being recruited for different things, like maybe it's character issues. I'm not sure. We're still going to take our chance on them. And that's what I'll be doing on the recruiting front as we simulate the next few games before we play Arizona State. I have really bad news though, which might not make sense if you look at Amarian Miller's stat line. Before we could even get to this game against the Sun Devils on the road, we lost to Baylor. We lost to UCF. It puts us at 7-2 and actually all the way down at 5th place in the Big 12. I wasn't sure what was causing the losing streak. I had to double check to make sure Juju Lewis wasn't injured. And it turns out he's been playing pretty well still. I mean, he had 1 interception against UCF, could have cost us the game, but he went for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against Baylor. He's been throwing for 300 plus yards in all these performances. His best performance of the entire year was against Houston. I mean, for a freshman, he is just lighting defenses up. We're still going to have to simulate against the Wildcats because I want to play against Arizona State. We just have to hope that we don't lose. Fortunately, in Sim, we were able to win 27-24. This is exactly why I only hop into a few games a year whenever I'm doing a rebuild, because we are forced to build a good roster on paper that can win those games. We're back in the top 25, and if we take down Arizona State, as long as we have the tiebreaker over BYU, we would be in the conference championship. But I'm not exactly sure what we're getting thrown up against here. Arizona State's currently 9-1. Sam Levitt might be a junior on this team, and he was, but I feel like our defense has handled him well. Besides picking up that 4th down, which we really couldn't afford to give up. Arizona State's only gotten on the board a few times in this game. They have 13 points, but I left him wide open. Juju Lewis is also having one of his worst games of the season. He's trying to escape the pressure here and throw a perfect ball over to Trey Green, which he does. But still, we need a touchdown, we're going to need a stop, and then we're going to need at least a field goal, which is a lot to come back. Before this 2-minute warning hits, though, I like what we're doing. I would just need us to get into the end zone, which we're going to. And all we've got to do is get one stop. But this is not a good start. As we missed the tackle, we just got held up on a block there, and they scored on their first play. I don't know where this has come from. It had been such a tight game for both offenses. But now Arizona State scoring with ease, and we better score with ease here. We have all the time in the world back there where we're going to be able to find Trey Green once again. Our offensive line is doing us absolute wonders at the moment, and we're going to get it out quickly. Audibles aren't really working, but that's okay. We'll find Trey Dez. And most importantly, we're saving all 3 of our timeouts so we can still get this football back after we get in. They shouldn't be throwing the ball here. We're run committing. I'm willing to take that risk. It makes it 2nd and 14, but then they came out in 5 wide, which means I have to expect them to throw. On 3rd and 8, they're going to go through the air again, and I know that we've left the flat open. That's out of reach. I thought we could get back to it with Love, but he gives up a touchdown. So Sam Levitt has done it. Sam Levitt's handed us our 3rd conference loss of the year. We still played a very good game, and Julian Lewis has set the Colorado single-season passing yards record without playing his 12th game of the year. So even if we've fallen out of the top 25, I'm not worried about what the future looks like for Buffalo football. We ended up finishing the year winning 42-17 on the road at Oklahoma State. We made sure they were not bowl eligible. We also made sure that outside of the Arizona schools, we were the top team in the Big 12. Arizona finished the year strong to go all the way up to number 10, but the rest of the Big 12, the rest of our conference, it was extremely mid. As for some recruiting updates, we are still in a recruiting battle for BYU for this cornerback. We couldn't hard sell on him. Louisville took that tackle. Tennessee took away this athlete quarterback. And for a lot of these other battles, the players that we threw on our board at the last second, you can see schools like Oregon, schools like Georgia, they're going to catch up at the last second, but as long as we sign a couple, it's worth the effort. What I was not expecting to to see was Julian Lewis won the Sean Alexander Award. If you don't know, this is one of the newer awards in the game. It's given to the best freshman in the country, and that was him. Meanwhile, Rocco Beck took home the Heisman Trophy. He had 49 passing touchdowns after transferring to Clemson, so no wonder Iowa State stunk. They lost their running back and their star quarterback. They had a good season, then their entire team just entered the transfer portal. BYU closed out on the 4-star corner. Georgia got the receiver, like expected. And then Clemson got this tight end. Like every one of these battles, Louisville's going to pull away on. Then on this receiver, Ole Miss is going to pull away on. Ohio State got this tight end. It's frustrating to see, especially when we know that Adonis Beatty is a lefty quarterback, is a 4-star with a gym, decent stats. I don't want the Cardinals to get him. That could be the kid that once Julian Lewis is gone, we have him that can replace him, but we might have to look elsewhere. For our rushing stats, it looks like Simeon Price had 741 yards on the ground. 14 touchdowns is more impressive. We were better without Michael Welch out there much, and then Omarion Miller and Draylon Miller both went over 1,000 receiving yards. Of course, with Roy Carmen being a 5-star gem, I'm expecting him to have elite development, but he has impact development, so that is really annoying. At least we got elite on a 4-star center. I've just never seen a 5-star gem have impact development. It is always elite, it feels like. That means he won't be as quick of an impact player to our defense. TJ Branch, our leading tackler, doesn't like our coach prestige, so the kid might transfer out as a freshman. Sack-wise, I'm seeing a lot of deal breakers not being met. But the good thing is those guys are seniors anyway. Aiden got all of his interceptions against an FCS school. He wasn't that impressive outside of that game. But if we're going to lose some safeties to the portal, it's nice that we know he should be sticking around and we can have his pass coverage increase a lot, assuming that's what the computer focuses on. I still think going into next season, we'll be able to take another step forward from where this team is at and get a little bit better, hopefully being in the Big 12 championship. But the most important thing right now is I never ever get the Pop-Tart Bowl, and finally I have gotten it on this game. We get to see the Pop-Tart out there in the intros. I absolutely love this bowl. And the sad part about it right now is we're on pace to lose this to SMU, though we stopped them on 3rd and 5. We have instantly lost 30 seconds off of the clock, though. All I did was simulate the punt. The clock should have gone to the 2-minute timeout, which is why I'm confused how we just lost so much time. But if we don't get close to the marker here, it would have been fine. Now that we have the first, we want to make sure we keep this drive alive. We're going to just see if there's any type of running lane at all. Simeon Price was trying to make one for himself. We're looking over towards the sideline too, but we just had to get it out. I'm currently staring down the confetti that's over there. We're about to get the first. I'm pretty sure that when you win the Pop-Tart Bowl, there's some special celebration that pops up. So I really do want to come out on top. We are going to have all the blockers that we need for Juju Lewis, and Julian is going to go down. That was not the slide I thought he was going to do. I didn't really panic, though. It just was what it was. We picked up the ball, and I've accepted we're settling for a field goal, though SMU coming out in 3 deep is just a weird decision. We fumbled again. How? How does a team get as lucky as we have just gotten? We're going to be able to hit this kick in the final seconds. I took it all the way down to the last one. But the fact that SMU should have gotten that ball twice, we are very fortunate. What's that sign say? Dreams really do come true. This is sick, though I'm pretty sure the toaster is going to eat the Pop-Tart here in a second as he goes on in to fry or grill or toast, whatever a toaster does. 3 touchdowns, 233 yards. Everything probably seems like it's currently on track for us to make it to the playoff next year, maybe the year after that. But I have some bad news. I don't know who Juju Lewis is going to be throwing the ball to next season. If we go over and we see all of our receivers meeting a deal breaker, they're basically all going to be gone. Omarion Miller's a senior, so he's off the roster. Cam McKell, he's gone. Hakeem Williams, he's a senior, so he'll be gone as well. So is Jack Hestera. I mean, we're barely going to be keeping around players. I completely forgot to get 5-star Clyde Fisher time as well. So the 5-star is most likely going to leave. I just realized he's 5'7" though, so it's not going to be the end of the world, though he has like no skill caps. Basically, I am terrified to open up this players leaving tab and see all the guys that we're losing. If we sort by wide receivers specifically, there he is. The 5-star is going to be gone. Cam McKell decided to stay though, which was super lucky because I'm pretty sure the rest of our receivers are also going to be gone. Never mind, Draylon Miller coming back too. That worked out better than I thought it would, though we have a lot of our offensive linemen transferring due to pro potential, guys I got in through the portal last year, even though we're about to have an offensive lineman that gets drafted in the first round and raises that school grade. It's annoying, but of all of them that were threatening to transfer, at least one of them did decide to stick around. And I'd say Isaiah Garcia is the best of those four, with star development and still a lot of room to grow. Still though, to make sure this team is as good as this one was, we're gonna have to replace a lot in the portal. Ideally, we can get a 4-star at each one of these positions where we ended up having somebody get drafted. And Deion Sanders is a talent developer now, so he gets bonus XP every time a player is drafted, which means he is leveled up a few more times. That means our freshmen and sophomore receivers and tight ends are going to progress faster. We should probably do the same on our defensive line. I don't want to do it for quarterback yet. I'm excited to see how that translates, and if we look at all these high school prospects that are still on our board, I think we're going to close out a lot of them, assuming these other schools don't go after them heavy. That decision, though, only gives us 700 hours to go after some of these other transfers, and there's a lot of really good receivers that would consider our school. I'd also love to get someone like Daniel Bray or Justin Marshall at running back. From what I can see, after 1 week of offseason recruiting, we should come back and win this center. Oregon doesn't want him anymore. I think we're going to be able to close out some of these other battles for high schoolers, though with them getting on visits, that's going to make it harder. But more importantly, what position are we in for some of these younger freshman transfers that are 4-stars? Looks like Ohio State might get that receiver, but we have a lot of them on our board and we can guess some hard sells. The main issue with that is we're not really working with much information, which means we have to get extremely lucky. It turns out we were right for Torrey Bayer, and it still wasn't good enough to beat out Washington because they have a tier 5 pipeline in the state of Washington. Same thing with Ohio State taking away Parker Livingstone, so I'm just gonna have to remove the players that I know we can't come back on. I also remembered we could just recruit players in the portal that wanted to transfer away from our team if they're available, so Clyde Fisher is going to be able to come back to this team. Now our pro potential school grade is raised, so we can get back those offensive linemen. For Clyde Fisher, he thinks he's going to get a lot of playing time, and he probably isn't still, but nobody else wants him. He's testing his odds. And we actually signed the left-handed gym 4-star quarterback Adonis Beatty. We got him over the Louisville Cardinals. As I advance to the final week, I already know that we're not going to sign every player that was on our board. There's probably 3 to 5 battles that we're not going to pull out, but that's okay. There are specific players like Bryson Hayes that I really wanted to get, so the fact that we're getting at least a couple, it's enough to make me happy. Then there's Daniel Bray, who I'm pretty sure was the transfer that was just a freshman at running back, which is exactly who he was, which is why we can always miss out on this 4-star. That free safety went to Michigan. Then this receiver, USC. This right tackle, USC. Justin Marshall, junior transfer running back, Nebraska. The Cornhuskers have been known to take some running back recruits from us in the transfer portal period, but guess what? Clyde Fisher, the former 5-star, is back with the Buffaloes. And I'd consider this class a little bit better than the last one, which the rankings do as well, as we're at number 16 in the country. This is the second season in a row we have had the best recruiting class in our conference, so hopefully we can just walk through conference play with a lot of wins this time. What I really know in the long run is as long as not too many players are leaving Colorado, we're going to beat out all those other schools in the future. I mean, we got multiple players that are getting dev trait upgrades, including Aiden Manutai, the strong safety. He's still going to be stuck behind Terrence Love for one more season, who's a senior, but next year he will be our starter at that position. I'm sure he'll be on the field either way. And look at this progression out of Steve Moffitt, up 10 overalls to get him to an 89. Our team's actually looking pretty similar to last year. Julian Lewis has gotten a little bit better as an 88 overall, but that pro potential deal breaker might mean that he transfers somewhere else after the season. It's always interesting to see what the computer decides to upgrade themselves. They focused on speed more than just maxing out accuracy first. Then Michael Welch is going to become our starting running back, so he's back to getting his opportunity out there, plus 14 overalls on the freshman. That means the kid from Hawaii, Vei Okada, is most likely just going to be operating out of our slot this year. They must have focused on route running and elusiveness, which really boosted him up, catching too. It looks like headed into our third season, Deion Sanders' 5th year at Colorado, we're going to be a 94 overall, and there's only 9 players that could transfer. One of those guys is Daniel Bray, the sophomore running back we just pulled in using the portal. He cares about brand exposure, which we could definitely get up. I want to keep him around. 94 speed, elusiveness, maxed out. He has gold shifty, gold sidestep, gold 360. We sure do not want to lose him. Looking at our schedule, this is who Colorado will play in real life that year. The non-conference slate, super easy. I know that Arizona State is returning Sam Leavitt for his senior season. You can see him on the Heisman watch list. Utah also has a player on the Heisman watch list, so there's a couple players in our conference that are going to stand out. I think we'll end up being all right, though, and there are no no 5-stars off the rip that are interested in our program this season. After we simulate this game against an FCS school, you'll see what I ended up doing with our board. There are some 5-stars on there. I just wanted to gauge how much some of these bigger schools were going after these guys. Parker Wells, Nebraska has slowed down on the same thing for these other 5-stars as well. Looks like we're going to be able to pull away, at least at first. In the long run, a lot could change, but that's the same thing with all these other 4-stars. It looks like we're going to win the battles, and then later on in the season, we end up losing. Shakir Poe, we're probably not going to get. In fact, even though he's a gym, he's from Mobile, Alabama, he is going to go to the Crimson Tide. They got a tier 5 pipeline. I know when to pull out. We can take those 50 hours. We're going to put them down here on an edge instead, who we have a better chance at landing. And I am not going to waste one of the 3 games I can hop into this season going up against Northwestern. They're probably like a 70 overall. Riley P.D. John, one of the transfers we brought in, had 2 interceptions. And we have won both games this season 42-7. We'll see if we can do the same thing against Northern Illinois. Then we have to decide which of our Big 12 matchups we want to actually play. Not a single team on our schedule is ranked at the moment, which means we might just run through this regular season with our 94 overall team. In fact, Julian Lewis is most likely going to be a part of the Heisman conversation as long as we can stay inside the top 10. So that's something to look forward to. We've been able to score over 40 points 3 weeks in a row, but I understand that Iowa State can be pretty good sometimes, so we're going to play at their stadium on the road. They got raided through the transfer portal in season 1. I'm not sure if they've been able to bounce back and rebuild ever since then. And although they were able to stop Julian Lewis and this offense for most of this game, their biggest issue is what they've done on the offensive side of things. They have literally only scored 3 points in this game, and they're just sending up hope on 4th and 7 that isn't going to work. But this is great because it gives Juju Lewis a chance to pad his stats a little bit and hopefully help out with that Heisman conversation. Cam McKell is not helping out though. He shouldn't have dropped that football. Now we're just going to go for a huge scramble on the ground. It's another time where we should have been sliding, and we didn't. But it's all good. We're closing this one out exactly how we wanted to. And the path to the playoff for the Buffaloes is looking pretty likely. Then if we were to take a low peek at the progress we're making in recruiting, we're actually sitting in first place for every single player on our board at the moment, though it's probably not going to last. Like, I see Oregon coming back in this battle. But I just started making sure all the hard sells were correct, so that could make a difference. It really is a good thing that Draylon Miller came back to school and he didn't transfer away because he has continued to play well for us, helping Juju Lewis just close out this game after throwing 2 interceptions and potentially costing it for us as we only won 49-44. Our offense is elite at the moment, but we're not beating out some of these other quarterbacks for spots on the Heisman watch list. And what I've decided is if we take some of these players off of our board at the moment that are probably going to go to bigger schools, what we can do is allocate those hours to schedule in some visits. What I didn't realize is that's still multiple weeks out, so some of those players will have to make a decision before they ever come here. But as long as we keep winning, I'm not sure if it's going to matter much. We're down to 6 players that might transfer. I'd say we're currently in a pretty good spot because we're so much better than every single team on our schedule, to the point where I feel confident simulating basically every single game. We're currently coming off of 4 straight road games where we are now sitting at 7-0 because we were able to win all of those. We finish out the season with 4 home games and then a road one at BYU. It's allowed me to stack a lot of visits for prospects over the coming weeks, and I have to decide which of these I want to hop into, probably against the Cougars, but outside of that, maybe Kansas. Nobody looks that good in our conference. We've been out recruiting them. All it takes is 1 loss to humble a team though, and that's what just happened against West Virginia. I don't know how they ended up beating us. Juju Lewis did not play bad. It was our defense giving up too many points, and what it has cost us is recruiting battles that we're not going to be able to come back on. We're going to lose this gym left tackle. Kentucky is going to take a running back from us, but that's the one position on offense we actually utilize well. And then at least for most of these 5-stars, they're all on a visit this week, so it'll give us a better chance at winning out on some of these battles, but it seems like the bigger schools are coming back on those too. It felt like we were at the top of college football and nothing was going to stop us, all until we lost 1 game and everything started to collapse. We're sitting at number 25 after being inside the top 6. What that lets me know is nobody is respecting the Big 12 nationally at the moment. We also had a really easy schedule. With no ranked opponents on there yet, I can understand how 1 loss might have spooked everybody that votes, but we're starting to reestablish ourselves against Kansas, absolutely dominating. This is the Jayhawks we're talking about, so beating them in football isn't something that we want to pat our chest about and be super proud of, but there is a lot of great things going on at Colorado at the moment. Julian Lewis has set the Colorado single-season passing touchdowns record, and we have, what, 4 games on the schedule still? We've also been able to land a 5-star for the 3rd season in a row. That's right, our recruiting efforts have paid off, though we are going to have to remove some of those other 4-stars. It's clear we're not coming back for any of those battles. And you know what? We got 2 5-stars, not just one. Frederick Vierling's going to come off of the edge. And then Darren Bostic, it says he's an agile athlete. We probably won't leave him as an offensive lineman. I think he'll be a higher overall as a defensive tackle just by how the athletes work. But for the other 2 5-stars still on our board where we are sitting in first place, they're both thumpers, so they would be very impactful. Now, what I have to decide is what's going to be the third game I hop into this season. We're currently alone at the top of the Big 12, but we still have to play TCU, BYU, and Arizona State. Normally, I'd face the Sun Devils, but they're the worst in conference play of the 3, so we're going to sim. I'm hoping with Draylen Miller winning Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, it went well. It turns out it was very tight, but it did. We won in overtime, triple overtime, 39-37. If you want to compare who was the better quarterback in this game, I'm giving it to Juju Lewis. He outperformed Sam Leavitt, which is why he has hopped up into the Heisman race. 36 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions this year, but compared to some of these other stats, I feel like his are really close. I was expecting him to not have that much of a chance, but my mind has changed, especially since he has also set the Colorado passing touchdowns career record, even though this is only his second season starting. If he can get this team a national championship, he will be the greatest quarterback in Colorado history, no question at all. This win over TCU, he was able to go for 4 touchdowns, 328 yards. No picks as the most important part, but if we can't take down BYU in this final week, we might not be in the conference championship. I'd also like to point out 5-star Parker Wells did commit, but we're falling behind on Gil Peters. He's going to go to Auburn. Getting 3 5-stars, though, is very impressive. It's the best that we have been able to do recruiting-wise so far, but none of that is going to matter if we can't win this night game at BYU. To end this first half, you can hear the sirens. They have had a very good home field advantage against us, and they've stopped us a lot. But we're coming out strong in the second half, and it's going to lead to us going to the 1. I'm expecting Daniel Bray should be able to just take this one in with this handoff, which he doesn't. So maybe the next snap is where he'll find some success. Due to Michael Welch fracturing his foot, he's currently the starting running back. You're also going to see that we're missing multiple starting offensive linemen, 3 of them. That is something that has affected our entire offense in this game. So we are stuck on a 3rd and 6 where we are getting just enough. This one's still not over, but we're going to have a really strong final 5 minutes. And this is a screenplay I've been wanting to try in this playbook, but it doesn't get us much. With the stadium pulse continuing to get to Juju Lewis, we just took a huge sack. It is going to make it 4th and 16. What happened? BYU only sent 4 people, but the backup offensive line is about as bad as it gets. We've been using timeouts trying to get this ball back. We are going to. But to stand a chance, we have to score immediately. If we can score before the 2-minute warning, we'll have an opportunity to get stops against them and then get it back again, which is why we're just throwing this deep to Cam McKell. Knowing how fast he is my one hope. We're going to try and go over some of the zones here, which he does bring in, but I don't think we're going to be able to get off another play before the 2-minute timeout. To get a stop against the Cougars, there would be at least a minute 20 running off the clock since we only have 1 timeout left. So we do need to score fast. Cam McKell helps with that. Or maybe he didn't. We're on the 1-yard line, which means clock is still running. I'm panicking, and he is not open. It is time for a quarterback sneak. Please do not get stopped short, Juju Lewis. There it is. All we have to do now is get a stop. Every second counts. Stopping the run very fast. But this is even better news. This is why you don't give up on games. That injury timeout just saved us 45 seconds. It is now 3rd and 10, where they're throwing the football. And all we have to do is make sure that we get it back. We do. Just like that, there is a ton of hope for the Buffaloes, and we're going to throw someone open. That was an easy catch for us to make. We can run the speed option, and Juju Lewis just chucks it all the way back there, I guess. Okay, we made our 2nd and goal a little bit more challenging than it needed to be. We're going to make sure that we stay in bounds, though, which was going to run the clock until there was an injury timeout. So BYU is still going to get this back, assuming we get the touchdown. But we can't even do that correctly. I've let the clock run down as far as I can, and now we're just going to beam it. We're going to beam it. Cam McKell comes to the football. What a miracle. We cannot mess up this 2-point conversion now. There's been way too many things that have gone our way to where we could lose this game off of a bad throw, off of a bad read. All of the effort to come back falls apart. It doesn't matter. That's why you should just take it to overtime sometimes. We've learned our lesson. They catch the onside kick. That's it. I don't know how Juju Lewis just got rattled there either. It was a bad read from him. Once he looks back on the film, though, he is feeling a little bit better because realistically, nobody was going to be open. To convert there, you would have had to fight off at least a tackle. It's increased the amount of players that want to transfer, though. Juju Lewis is up to a 92, by the way. He's been progressing through the year, and we're still going to be in the Big 12 championship. Now, as long as there's not two group of 5 teams ranked above us, we could be getting a spot in the playoffs still, but Tulane is undefeated. Boise State is undefeated. What is our luck? FIU's even sitting at 10-2. Arkansas State's ranked above us. Washington State's ranked above us. Yeah, we're not going to get in. Maybe we could have if we were playing Texas Tech instead of Utah in the conference championship, but that's just not how it worked out. And to my surprise, Juju Lewis is still in the running for the Heisman Trophy. If we compare his stats to the Clemson quarterback, he has the same amount of passing yards, and he has way more passing touchdowns. All that matters is this game in front of us. We could really set a standard much higher than what we've been doing the last couple years with a conference championship with another Heisman Trophy at Colorado. I'd say as long as we pass for 5 touchdowns and we don't have an interception, it should be Juju Lewis's trophy to lose. I might have been a little bit too optimistic, though, because as you can see, at the end of the first quarter, we have 0 points, and we're getting held to a field goal that just goes in. I don't know why I expected that we just run Utah off of this field, but they've played us pretty well, except here we're gonna get caught. That is unfortunate. I thought we might have the speed to break away. You know what? Let's just throw this up to Cam McKell. He has been the answer for us on the offensive side of things. We are also gonna have a check down, but it's just another play that has not worked out well for Juju Lewis. We can't even kick a field goal from this far out, which is the worst part because we just had to throw it up to end the half. And we're currently losing 16-6. No need to worry, though. We have bounced back in this third quarter. A quarterback blast is going to fail at getting us in. But I'm confident we're still going to be able to finish off this drive, which is exactly what we have done. We turned everything around, getting Utah off of the field on third down. It's important. It's a 4th and inches. They're going for it, though, which means we just got to stuff the run, and we couldn't. Next time we get them on a 4th down, it's a similar situation. This time, bigger hole for them to go through. And I think it's pretty safe to say this has not been the 5-touchdown game that we were hoping for out of Julian Lewis. He might need to lead us down the field here in a second, though, as they've scored. And we'll see if they give Cam McKell the opportunity to just outrun them deep, or if we're going to have to find a receiver in the slot. I'm going to need no eyes, no picks to work there. He was able to turn around, get his hand on the ball. Not the end of the world, though, because what we're going to do here is we're going to roll out, and we're going to have a lot of space to just take with Juju. We might even be able to thread this one up the seam. It's a risky throw to make, and it's a dumb throw to make. That should have been intercepted. You have to have 2 streaks on that side of the field for that to work out the way that we wanted it to. Thankfully, wait, we're going to throw another pick. Well, our drive stalled out a little bit more than I was expecting. They just didn't guard Daniel Bray, though, out of the backfield. So we were still able to get a touchdown out of that drive, but they're moving down the field themselves as they're at the 17. J.C. Hurts has been a problem, though they're out here in Wildcat, so he must have gotten hurt. Or that was just the other quarterback or player they had in for that formation. He just looked a lot slower. But there's their touchdown. Doesn't matter what they come out in. If on the next play, J.C. Hurts is going to find someone wide open. And we're about to have to put together a really good drive. Getting into field goal range is the bare minimum. We've already wasted 15 seconds. We had our drag, and we're going for the deeper shot down the field. Miller going to outrun this kid. All of a sudden, back up by 4. Juju Lewis's stats are looking a lot better as well. That is exactly why we needed Draylen Miller back on this team. Why are they running the football? That just doesn't seem smart. They're not calling a timeout either, despite having 2 of them. So Utah is in shambles. They've left themselves with very little opportunity to come back in this game, even if they want it super bad. This Hail Mary is going to be an actual shot to the end zone with the way the guys are running, but we're back there. We're prepared for it. And he catches it? Are you kidding me? No. No. This is not how we're going to lose the conference championship. I might just have to take a break from playing this game for a little bit. Why? Why? After all the effort we put in to come back, that's what we're rewarded with? I just don't get it. I've seen no Hail Marys that have worked all year on this game. and then I just had one in the rebuild with Arkansas, and now it happened against me. To make matters worse, Christopher Vezina is going to win the Heisman Trophy. It's not Juju Lewis, even though his stats are worse. You want to know why, though? It's because we're playing in the Liberty Bowl against Mississippi State and their annoying cowbells, while Clemson's probably in the playoffs, probably going to win a championship. We just collapsed to end this year. I thought we were for sure going to be a part of this playoff picture. 45 touchdowns, 4,000 passing yards through the air, 68% completion percentage. I mean, these stats are better than what the Clemson quarterback had. Juju Lewis also rushed for 5 touchdowns on the ground. Michael Welch is still injured. He will not be playing in our bowl game against Mississippi State. Draylon Miller is going to be gone because he's a senior, and then Cam McKell's probably still going to want to transfer. Tackle leader Riley Pettijohn doesn't like our playing style, even though he led the team in tackles, so that's frustrating. 14 sacks for TJ Lindsey, by the way. He will be back for a senior season. If anything, at least we're going to retain one of our players into next year. It's felt like all the good players we've had come through this program, they stick around for 1 or 2 years, and that's it. I am afraid that next season we're going to take a step back as well, because on paper this team was really good. Juju Lewis is no longer going to be a part of it. Even Daniel Bray might not end up returning. I just hope that Juju Lewis declares for the NFL draft and he doesn't transfer somewhere else where we could end up having to face him next season. We ended up cooking Mississippi State in the bowl game 31-3, so we'll add that to our record. It's an 11-win season. It's the best one Deion Sanders has had at Colorado. It is something that we can be proud of. It just seemed like the ceiling was so much higher, so I'm hoping at least one of these 5 stars, our edge, is going to have elite development. That is exactly what you want to see. He should be getting really good by the time that he is a junior. And the national champion ended up being Michigan. Here's the players that are a threat to transfer out, by the way. We have Cam McKell on there, Daniel Bray, big pieces on our offense, and then every single quarterback. So we're not going to have a single quarterback going into next season, potentially. I know that might sound crazy. I was hoping that because Terrell Stoudemire cares about playing time, maybe he'd stick around. It's not going to be the case. Adonis Beatty, he cares about brand exposure. Maybe he will be here. I just felt like I also saw his name on the list. We're about to find out, though. Are we going to have any quarterbacks on this team next year? It's just going to be Adonis Beatty. Levi Drayton decided to stay as well, which is nice. We do need more players deciding to stay. Stoudemire is not returning. Juju Lewis, I'm pretty sure there's just no chance here. Then we'll look at Cam McKell. He's going to be gone. Will Daniel Bray stick around? Nope. But we did convince one of our sophomore linebackers to stay, so there's another player that won't be leaving us. And look at all of these graduates. It's actually not that many compared to previous seasons. It certainly doesn't feel as good because there were a lot of guys that were high-quality starters that were able to get drafted into the NFL that aren't going to be with us anymore, but this is some good news. The reason it's good news is Deion Sanders has continued to level up. He has 60 coach points to spend, which means we can get talent developer for our quarterbacks. We can also go in here. Freshmen and sophomore linebackers are now going to progress faster. I could even make sure that we get Star Maker Tier 3, so now our starting players are going to gain XP faster, and I think this is going to take our team to another level. When you consider our offensive coordinator has that same boost, he's also a talent developer. He was someone that was already on Colorado when I got here. This is the best that we're ever going to get for training results when it comes to that. Defensive coordinator is a strategist, which just means there's going to be stuff like Tier 3. Players have a lower deal breaker threshold. It's the reason some guys won't leave as soon as they should. It's actually a really OP ability. But I don't care as much for it compared to talent developer. That is huge, and we actually have a chance at getting Gil Peters now. Additionally, I knew there'd be some players in the portal that would consider our school, but only 4 guys that are 4 stars are interested off the rip. I'd also like to point out that we can go after some of the guys that are transferring, like Riley Pettijohn, who had a huge impact on our defense. We can go after them again in the portal. Daniel Bray's a 4-star. It's going to be harder to sign him, but for Cam McKell and then Terrell Stoudemire, we don't stand a chance. I might try and get Alex Mansky. I just have a feeling that when it comes to these 4-star open transfers, you can never enter the battle and actually have a lot of success, which seems to be exactly how this is going to play out for us, especially on Daniel Bray. Well, it turns out for some of these high schoolers as well, they stayed going after them like they should have, so Ole Miss is going to get one of them. We got locked out of the other. Unfortunate stuff there. Sean Terry II, a receiver that had us in his top few at the beginning, has already locked us out as well, though Ed Small, we actually got the hard sell correct on, and we're still not in first place. Well, a week later, Daniel Bray might not have wanted us either. He doesn't want to return, which is fine. He has interest from schools like Oregon and USC. But Alex Mansky, the 4-star that we jumped into the battle on, actually is considering us. That's pretty sweet in my opinion. This class is going to turn out to be the best one that we've ever brought in. And as we take a look at this entire board, I'm a little surprised to see James Cross chose Hawaii, but it makes sense. We were bringing in multiple different quarterbacks. Nebraska got this 4-star defensive tackle. This receiver, Ed Small, chose Ole Miss. But who cares? This is a top 8 class. And if you compare that to the rest of the Big 12, I mean, no one else even got inside the top 25. What are they doing? The recruiting in the Big 12 is just really bad. We have to start moving around some of these guys to different positions. The athlete is going to actually stay on our offensive line. And I actually think a thumper like Parker Wells, who is a 5-star recruit, is going to be a little bit better for us as a safety instead of just moving him to linebacker. Neat little thing about our running back room as well, the 2 guys that are in line to start before training results both came from SMU, Rodney Fields Jr. and Jermecco Green. We got lucky, that's for sure. Rodney Fields Jr. is 5'9". With an increase to speed, he should be able to get, and some to his juking. I feel like we're going to have a good time feeding him the ball, even if his speed didn't upgrade though. This is what our running back room is looking like after training results. Currently, our best player is a 92 overall corner, and then we also have a 91 overall corner. But I'd say our receiving core is where things get serious. We got 4 guys above an 88 overall, which means they're probably all going to be gone at the end of this season, whether it's to the NFL or a different team. That is a big concern of mine. Same thing with the defensive backs on this roster. This is where all of our stars are really sitting on the defensive side. But we have a big problem. We don't have a quarterback that can lead this team to a championship. In fact, I'm not sure I even want to start Alex Mansky. He's from Iowa, which should be a deterrent in the first place. Anything that involves offense in Iowa, I don't want anything to do with it, especially at the quarterback position. But his accuracies are maxed out. His throwing power is only an 87. So we could look over to Adonis Beatty, who's only a freshman, but he's only a freshman and he cares about brand exposure. Plus he's a lefty. His accuracy has a long way that it needs to grow still. It's just either way, we don't have a Juju Lewis this season, and there are another like 10 players that want to transfer before the year even starts, but we're a 99 overall. I am not used to seeing 99 overall teams without any bonuses into tactician. That's normally the pathway that I go down, and it puts all these players' overalls up like another 4 or 5 points. Without that boost, the team doesn't look as good to me as it probably will be. We also have to play Florida at the Swamp during our non-conference slate, but I hope we can make it to the playoffs. I feel like even with the issues we're going to run into, we should be good enough. We can't recruit this kid because he cares about proximity to home. He would just transfer out pretty quickly, though we can go after a couple 5-stars. Guys that are interested right off the start, though, don't matter that much to me. I just loaded up this entire board with as many 5-stars as I could go after, and we're going to see how many we can land. It might not go well, but we might as well try it since we're supposed to have a very good season. And after annihilating UMass 40-10, it's time we take on the Gators. Alex Mansky had a pretty good debut, even though I'm doubting the junior quarterback. But that's probably not wise considering he has 4 88+ receivers to throw the football to. I've already seen what the weather's going to look like for this game when they were showing the night show. It's a night game, and there's also rain coming down in the swamp. So this is not set up for us to have success. In fact, we have not been able to score yet, but I'm hoping we can get something going on the ground. This season, it simply can't only be about throwing the football, and pitching it out to Rodney Fields Jr. was a great decision. However, as this game's gone on, we have not been able to pull in front, which is why we really need to get the Gators off of the field on this 3rd and 8, where we're very lucky. One of the reasons, because that pass was batted down when it shouldn't have been. They had someone open. And 2, they're not even in field goal range. Instead of taking a 7-point lead versus us, they just punted and gave the ball back. So now we're going to slowly work it down the field, feeding our running backs and taking the smart plays. The final play before the 2-minute timeout's just going to be a speed option that gets boxed, except we broke a tackle to get 5 out of it. Somehow, just Rodney Fields Jr. putting on a show for us. And now we're going to step up. All right, now it is 3rd and 6. They got their pressure. And we better have a read dialed in or else we're not going to even get this out. We do, though, and it is going to be enough with Rodney Fields Jr. becoming clutch again. That route is one of the cleanest ones I have seen on this game. We're going to be able to hit it a 2nd time in a row because it's just a linebacker on it. We might have to continue to work it there, but that's a missed assignment. Now the entire team is shook up. I'm not sure if we have anybody. We have a touchdown. It's underthrown. Alex Mansky just sold. He sold. We're not going to be able to audible the way that we want to here. 3rd and 18. We have our tight end, but we saw it late. This is not good. It's 4th and 18. The stadium pulse has gotten to us. And do we see anything here? I mean, we'll send it up. What is that throwing motion? He was about to make a 25-yard throw. You don't gotta cock it back that hard. I think we're just gonna pick up our first loss of the year, and that's that. They are gonna take a knee on 3rd down. We still get the ball back, and they didn't take the clock down as far as they could have either, so that's interesting, though we should have put in a better returner. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to find the sideline first, and then have a deep play. But that was just forced. It was not open. We're going with Wildcat on the final one, and we didn't get it. I figured that'd be a better chance than throwing up a Hail Mary, since I'm not even sure if our quarterback can hit the end zone with his 87 throw power. We lost to Anthony Varner. That was not a great look for Colorado and the rest of the season, but at least it was a top 25 loss, and we can move past it. One by one, though, the 5 stars we stand a chance at signing are just going to drop off of our board due to some deal breakers, which means we're going to use those extra hours to schedule visits. Just from the looks of it right now, I think we're going to be able to sign 4 or 5 5-stars by the end of this season. We have to win games like this one against Oklahoma State, though, for that to happen. What we can't do is go another season where we don't make the playoff. That means winning every single game that is left on our schedule, including this one at number 19, Texas Tech. It looks like it's going to be the most difficult one. And you know what? Since we were able to figure out the pitch on the number 1 player in the country, this gym quarterback, Ronnie Levine, we are going to start mentioning him because currently we're breaking away for him in first place, but we're not gaining that much every week. I'm afraid over time, other schools could come back into the picture, so we're going to schedule him for week 10 for our rivalry against Utah because that's going to give us the biggest bonus we can have. And let's go take care of business at number 19, Texas Tech. They've already played 5 conference games. We haven't even played 4 games this season, so their early schedule must have been stacked. That's crazy to me because if they beat us, they've basically already guaranteed their spot in the conference championship. Meanwhile, we're out here playing our 2nd conference game of the year, and using some RPOs, we've been able to get inside the red zone. It's really been a solid start for us. We've already scored 2 touchdowns. I would love to get a 3rd out of this drive, but if we're just going to miss our throws like that, then we have to accept kicking our field goal is a solid option, assuming it goes in. You know what, though? Even with all the frustrations we had in this game, we held Texas Tech to just 10 points and dominated. It has me feeling really good about the rest of Big 12 play if we're performing like this on the road. Whenever we go to play the Jayhawks, we should keep that one up. We're 29 overalls better than them. But I want to mention this just because I mention it in like every rebuild I do. You can see what the top of our roster looks like, and then you can see what the top of their roster looks like. It's about a 10 overall difference between the starters, not a 30. I think the overall calculations in this game can be very misleading, which leads to frustrating results when you lose in sim. There's our first 5-star signing. He will be followed with a center as well, Saul Ackerman. And look at all of these recruiting updates. We're still going to be in first place for some of these other players. In fact, I can say that about every single player that is still sitting on our board besides this receiver, Dexter Whittaker. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He'd rather play for Ohio State. I get that. We can close out some of these battles with a win this week, and then you're going to see Ole Miss is coming into the picture a little bit stronger on Skylar. He's got 91 speed, press pro, 50-50 though, so I really want to be able to sign him, which is why he's paired for a week 10 visit whenever Ronnie Levine also comes to town. I think that one is against Utah. To put ourselves in the best position, though, we need to keep on winning before we get to that game. And seeing the commitment from Randall Maggin and also Damon Sproles lets me know that we won. It was only 14-9 though, which has me worried about going on the road at Arizona. They're 1-6, but this is a setup for a typical trap game. I wouldn't be surprised if we found a way to lose it, especially since we're sitting ahead of the rest of the Big 12 at the moment. There's just no confidence from this side because that's how you get let down. I'm also quitting on Dexter Whittaker and using those hours elsewhere. I'm not going to see us losing a battle. We'll just pretend that player never existed. Arizona, 74 overall. Again, there's probably about a 10 overall gap between all of our starters and all of theirs. But that is enough to make a difference as we won by 17 with almost 500 total yards of offense. Miami has come back on quarterback Ronnie Levine, though. They had a visit in week 9, so this week 10 visit is our chance to actually secure the entire commitment. Same thing with Skylar. If we don't win this visit, then he won't choose our school. Everything is on the line right now, so let's just go ahead and get it over with. We have the home field advantage, and we have to get our revenge against Utah for what happened the last time we played. But they have certainly not made that easy. This team is just a pain every single time. Alex Mansky has currently thrown 2 interceptions in this game, and risking a 4th and 1 with a halfback screen was very risky. But just like that, we're in a pretty good position on the field. Robert Fields Jr. jukes up it, and with a simple handoff to him, our blocks look solid. Now it's on our defense, though, to get us a stop, and they've allowed them to get to a 3rd down that we're all over. All right, all we need is a field goal in this final 2 minutes. That is very manageable. Alex Mansky can get it done. It helps that we're going to be able to utilize some RPOs as well. go to the 40, but Rodney Fields Jr. was pulled out right before we're running the play I had designed for him, so Cobb had to take over. Either way, Utah's calling timeouts. They know that we can hit a field goal from here, which is great news for us. It's simple. This game is over for the Utes. We're going to hit this kick. And taking home this rivalry means we should sign some really big 5-stars, some of the biggest we've ever gotten. The #1 quarterback in the country is program changing, and that's what we got in Robert Levine. We also got Lorenzo Cantrell. So we still got a 5-star receiver. Even if Skylar isn't going to come to our school at the end of the day, Ole Miss is probably going to win that battle. I'm looking at some of these other ones. Georgia's taking this one over, but we have a week 11 visit, which is really, really helpful. And now all we can do is simulate to the end of the year, so that's exactly what we're going to do. I think we're set up to be in the conference championship and make a spot in the playoff, but I'd already hopped into my 3 games. You'll see that we dominated Cincinnati. UCF upset us by 1 point, and then we closed out the year beating Kansas State. So we are in the conference championship. But if we want to get into the playoff, we have to win that game. Fortunately, there's no group of 5 teams ranked above us, so we are guaranteed a spot in the playoff with a win. Since Arizona State's ranked number 20, we might have been in the top 12 either way, but that just locks it in no matter what. And I feel like our conference is still doing pretty well, despite us being the only team that's recruiting at a very high level. We haven't lost either of those battles yet. Georgia did beat us out for this edge, though. We lost out on Nevis and Rabin too. But guess what? At the end of the day, we have double the amount of 5-stars that Georgia and Ohio State have with 6. We could still sign 1 or 2 more as well. This class, no matter what, will take us to the next level, which is hard to gauge since we're sitting as a 99 overall. Like I said though, we're probably going to have to win multiple conference championships before we're good enough to win a national championship. I don't think our team's a true 99. I think there's a lot of places where it could be better. The overall calculations in this game just blow. That's the reality of it. That could have been picked. But the reason I was throwing instead of running the ball is what you'll probably see happen here. We hand it off, and we actually got positive gains. That doesn't always happen on the goal line. Here we go. 3rd and goal. We'll keep it on the ground after seeing the blocking on the last play. I don't mind going up 14-0 to end the first half, but we're trying to make it 21-0, and we should have just settled for our field goal. It was aggressive. It was greedy. But guess what? It didn't make a difference because Arizona State just couldn't move the football versus us. We clamped them the entire time. What that means is Deion Sanders has gotten Colorado that conference championship. I think at this point, it's now taken him 6 seasons to get them there. But even in the portal era, it took time to build up this program, and I can't believe that is our starting quarterback that got us this. If anything, I thought it was going to happen under Juju Lewis. I also was not expecting him to progress as quickly as he did, which is why he left us. We have USC in the 1st round. And you know what? I'm just excited to see what Ronnie Levine can do. Elite dev, #1 quarterback in the country coming to Colorado. That is all that you can ask for. He's the only elite dev player as a 5-star that we signed, though. It doesn't matter if Alex Mansky wants to transfer because I believe he'll come in as a true freshman and play even better than this. Though Alex Mansky, if he doesn't transfer and he progresses more, we might have a hard time deciding on who to start then. Rodney Fields Jr. rushed for 777 yards. Quentin Gibson was then our #1 receiver. He had a really good year, but it's another player that we don't know if they're going to go pro or if they're going to come back for another season. The same could be said for our defensive backs. Antonio White has to graduate, but then both of our top corners, they could declare for the NFL draft early on. We have no idea what they're going to do. Seniors are our sack leaders as well. It's almost like this team is set up to take a step back next year, no matter what happens during the playoffs. Of course, as the lower seed, we're going to have to play on the road to open things up, but every playoff win that we can get should increase the amount of good transfers that want to come to Colorado. Even if it's only 1 game, winning at the Coliseum, that would be very big. Which is why, with 5.5 minutes left, down by 3, we're going to be aggressive on 4th and 6. Thankfully, tight end gets open, and the drive stays alive. Man-to-man coverage. Next play, we're going to go out to Okada. He's one of the first recruits that we got in this rebuild, and he has progressed very well. Alex Mansky is the guy that's going to have to finish off the job, though. And when he gets tunnel vision, when he's stuck staring down just one receiver, it really hurts this team. I don't think we're going to pick up the 3rd down. That was a generous spot from the refs on the road. We're going to run it now. Blocks are looking really good. We're in the end zone, and we're in the end zone with a running back that we've not used all year. Jeff Stockton's barely been on the field, but wear and tear is greatly affecting this roster. 3rd and 2. It's a big one for the Trojans, and they're going to get it completed. Cade Fox did just enough, but after sacking him, he's going to have a much harder time helping them convert on 4th down. That play made it much more manageable, though. They might mess up our man-to-man coverage here by motioning a guy over, and it confused us. We were focused elsewhere. I'm not sure how many more times USC can handle a 3rd and long, though, They did here. They actually made this extremely easy to pick up, but we've decided to send in a blitz, and that's where they take the top off of our defense. It's not the end of the world, though. All we have to do is get a field goal, which is something Alex Mansky is very capable of helping us do. He might not be the best quarterback. He might not be the most accurate quarterback. He might not have the strongest arm in the world, but he can complete it there. And with how quick we're shredding through the Trojans, now we have to consider, are we going to be able to score a touchdown? After that 4-yard loss, we have our answer. All we're caring about is the field goal, which is why we're just going to take this hitch. I would prefer if this kick was a little bit closer, if it was easier than where we're currently at. So that's what we have set up for. I've recruited Mo Littlejohn, our kicker, as a freshman. I wanted him, and now that he is a junior, he's had the time and the experience to get better for moments like this that are clearly going to have enough power and accuracy on it. Headed to overtime for a playoff game. Big opportunity coming up here. And we're getting the ball first, which does put some pressure on us. We have to make tough decisions, like what do we do if we don't convert on 3rd and 3? I saw that we had the numbers in that situation, though, and I would much rather just trust our defense in this game. I don't want it to rely on our offense. It'd be nice if we just got it in on 3rd and goal, but we have to pull it, and it's not enough. So now it's 4th down. I can pretty much tell this is going to be zone coverage, and I still made the wrong read. It switched to man-to-man at the last second. It threw me off. They've won. We would have to literally just pull off a miracle whenever it came to making them lose yards. Hang on, though. Maybe that's not out of the question. All of a sudden, it's 3rd and 19, and they get the screen pass out. They got the screen pass out. If he hits this kick, it's all over, and he's hitting this kick. He is hitting this kick. It's another season where we are going to fall short with the Buffaloes. This time not in the conference championship, in the college football playoff. But it's still progress. We just don't have a team that's good enough to win it all. What's going to make it really hard to do it out of the Big 12 is every season we're going to lose a lot of the guys that we've been developing. Our brand exposure is only a B still. So look at all of these guys that either want to declare early for the NFL draft or they want to transfer. Like somehow we didn't get him enough playing time. He's gone. Then you have to factor in every player that graduated this year. I don't see how the team could possibly be as good as it was this season. I've just been sitting here spamming all of the guys, seeing who's actually willing to stick around. Alex Mansky didn't, and neither did Quentin Gibson, our #1 guy, but Clyde Fisher said he'd come back. At least we have him. Cedric Williams is also willing to return, and Adonis Beatty, would he come back? He wouldn't. The good thing, though, is once again, we put a ton of players on to the NFL, double what we did last season, so we leveled up another 5 times. Or maybe it was 6. Either way, we have more skill points to spend, inside talent developer, so now all of our starting players are going to gain XP a lot faster. We should also make it to our running backs start to progress quicker too. Just the fact that we should open up the off-season period signing 2 more 5-star gyms has me feeling pretty good as well. Some of these 4 stars we're still sitting in the battle for. We just lost like 35 guys though, so we're going to have to lock in during the transfer portal period to get this team back to what it needs to be. Deuce Knight is the #4 player in the country, and he wants to transfer to our school. We'll take that shot alongside maybe on another quarterback or 2, despite signing the #1 guy in the country. So far, we have just been able to hard sell on Deuce Knight, and I think it might be a little bit too late. Oregon is in a lead, but Lester Dubois is a freshman transfer. He might be a sophomore when he comes in, but he's ranked pretty highly too, and we have a good chance at getting him. That has me feeling more optimistic about the team in the portal that we're putting together. Some of these additions aren't as needed, but we've gotten more offensive linemen and just more depth to this team. Though if we get another 4-star, they probably will start. Those transfers are just a lot harder to come by, but we did get Manu Yanda. We've also been stuck in 2nd place on these 2 5-stars, and it's not changed at all. So I'm thinking this is a bug or a glitch where we're just not going to sign either of them. I was putting points in every week. We just couldn't make any movement on the battle. Dremeco Green is coming back to Colorado after he decided he wanted to transfer. I said, listen, we might need another running back just in case you have a spot on the team. He took that opportunity, but like I predicted, we didn't get either of these other 5-stars. They'd already decided on the other schools. It was just a visual bug, so I was wasting hours every week putting points into them. Oregon also prevented Deuce Knight from coming to our school. USC prevented Tashawn Joy, but all of that is kind of expected. I'm seeing lots of 4-star transfers that we wouldn't have gotten in previous seasons. Mississippi State ended up taking a 3-star defensive tackle from us. Oh well. But anyway, I definitely think this is the best class that we've had yet. Lester Dubois might become our starting quarterback over having Ronnie Levine, and that's crazy. If it ends up working out like that, Ronnie's not going to be too happy. We had the #1 class in the country. You compare that to the rest of the Big 12. These guys have got to be falling behind now that we're so many years in. And you know what? Just looking at this roster, before we even go to training results, I think we're going to have a team that's good enough to do that. Quarterback's the only position group that's still going to be pretty weak. Ronnie Levine starts as a 78 as a true freshman, and then Lester DuBois has 91 speed. This is before training results as well, so this could be crazy. We'll see what he gets up to. I do believe that 6'5", 209-pound Enrique Leo is going to make for a better tight end than receiver, just because we don't have a great route runner at the moment. I mean, J.D. LaFleur isn't terrible, but he only has 82 speed, comparing that to 90, and the better route running stats are going to be on Enrique. I also realized that Enrique has skill points to spend before we even get to training results. There's 15 that have been able to add up. His blocking stats are going to be bad. But we can get the 50-50 improved jump ball ability, and we can also get cutter as an ability, which is going to be super nice on our tight end. You're definitely going to see some massive overall jumps on this roster as well, which makes me feel a lot better about this one versus our last team. We have 3 cornerbacks above a 92 overall. I just want to put that out there. We're going to have some lockdown defense, but the +11 game from Frederick Vierling, a former 5-star, is big. We also have no choice but to start Lester DuBois. He's up to an 85 overall, and even though his accuracy, deep throw accuracy, not the best, he has that 91 speed that's maxed out with maxed out elusiveness too. He is only going to get better every season. I am a little surprised Jeff Stockton became our best running back. Jermecco Green must have been capped out too, because he did not improve at all. Then at receiver, you can see all the freshmen that are starting to get these +8, +9, +11 overall boost. They're going to be very good once all the guys above them enter the NFL draft after a year. And this team just feels like more of a true 99 overall team to me compared to last season's. We still have players at risk of transferring, and with the hardest non-conference slate we've ever had, there could be a game that we drop that we don't expect. But I am fully expecting us to get back to the playoffs, and I'm going to do the same thing I did last year, just to recruit 5-stars. During the course of this rebuild, we've been able to raise our blue chip ratio from like 25% all the way up to 61%. And it's got potential to get even better with another season of just signing some of the best recruits in the country. Some of these battles look a lot more winnable than others, like knowing Notre Dame has a tier 4 pipeline and we're only in 10th place on this kid, we probably won't get him. But there's only so many 5-stars that I can even go after. We're going to start out the season simming against Iowa. I trust us against that offense. But even with Lester DuBois throwing for a couple touchdowns, no picks, Jeff Stockton averaging 12.3 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, we just squeezed out a win 38-35. I think it's safe to say we should play this game against the Gators. At least we get to host this time. It's the same situation as last year, though, where they lost their first game, we won our first game, and both teams are currently ranked inside the top 20, looking to get a big result against each other. Let's just say through almost one half of football, I'm feeling pretty good about this team. We are currently up on the Gators 28-0, and getting Lester DuBois in the transfer portal was the best thing that could have happened. Apparently, he didn't get into the end zone right there, but they're going to leave a wide open spot from the QB sneak. So from there, we just continue to run up the score, and we might get him into the Heisman watch. If he can put up stats like this during sim, 3 passing touchdowns, 82% completion percentage, and then another 3 touchdowns on the ground, he will be in that combo. The thing is, though, next up on our schedule is Utah on the road, so I could see this turning out pretty bad. I just don't trust this team in sim. I can see that we're at 3-0 now, but there are 9 players that want to transfer out due to our playing style, which doesn't make much sense to me because Vea Okada was one of those 9 players, but he just went for 172 yards and a touchdown. He's looking for something to complain about. I can't believe I never noticed that the Rocky Mountain Showdown wasn't on the non-conference schedule either. They must have removed that for a couple years. I can see why they didn't have it on the schedule though, because we just lost to Colorado State, a 66 overall team, by 7 points. There will be no Heisman conversation any longer for Lester DuBois. He had more interceptions than touchdowns. Even though he threw for 402 yards, I don't care. You threw 3 picks. If you want 3 picks to be thrown, I might as well just hop into the game myself. West Virginia is going to be, I'm guessing, like a 74 overall, but again, we can compare these 2 rosters. I can do this for any team that we're about to face. Look at our top 10 players, then look at theirs. There is some major differences, but they do have a good quarterback. Either way, I think I'm going to sim that game and just hope for the best. Ron Galladay, we've been putting 65 hours into this kid Ohio State's still going to win. Some of those bonuses we will never be able to beat, which is why if we could even sign 6 5-stars again, that would be incredible. We did beat West Virginia by 7 on the road, by the way, so as we head into our final 7 matchups of the year, we're going to play against BYU, we're probably going to play against TCU on the road, and we're just shooting for a spot in the Big 12 championship again so we can lock into a spot to the playoffs. By this point, I've done all I can in recruiting with hard sells and scheduling visits, so all of my focus is going to go back towards what's happening on the field. And I'm just sitting here thinking about how differently the season would look if we didn't lose to Colorado State. This team isn't just good, it is clearly the best one in the Big 12. There's more evidence of that. We can continue to do this all day. The abilities, the stats, they're just making everything so much easier. There's a reason we're currently up 31-7, and it's just gonna keep on getting worse. Though I was celebrating my way into the end zone, we fumble, and our offensive lineman now gets to celebrate with his own touchdown. The Big 12 is too easy, as we just beat a top 11 team 45-17. And I definitely made sure to schedule visits for this game because I knew we'd get some commits off of it. We're going to fall behind on another defensive back, though, that we're putting 65 hours a week into, so Elite Recruiter doesn't seem all that worth it. Deion Sanders has it at that position, but I feel like assuming we can win in Week 8 as well, we're going to close out a bunch of other battles that we didn't need Elite Recruiter for. If this doesn't go our way, though, and we lose to Iowa State, it's going to hurt the program. Turns out, though, we're just not good enough because we lost. We lost again. We've lost to Colorado State and Iowa State, which is very frustrating. We're going to have to play this next one against Arizona State now because currently we're on the outside of the Big 12 championship. And if we lose one more matchup, then we might as well just get into the next season. What's so weird about this team is we have the best defensive back room we've ever had and the best defense. But whenever we're not hopped into some of these games, they just don't play that well. We're still trying to close out this game as well. As you can see, it's currently 2nd and 14. They're throwing it underneath. They don't have any timeouts left, so they better hike this ball pretty quick and get a quick read out. They got my user pretty well there. But I've decided that I should burn a timeout. I honestly believe this team is good enough to run man-to-man coverage, but we just gave up that catch. Even worse, on a pass we should have easily been able to stop, and they literally just threw it straight to us, so we're going to end this game getting our 3rd pick. It's the final game of the season I can hop into, though. I don't know if this team has what it takes to win out. There's still 4 games left on the schedule, but let's just go ahead and get through all of it, because what else can we do? We hopped into our 3. Moment of truth, though, it says we're 10-2. We're 2nd in the Big 12, so we finished out the year strong. We still have guys that want to transfer, but we've gotten Iowa State in the conference championship. This is good to see. We also might be able to close out on a couple of these other 5-stars from the looks of it. Because we lost that visit week, we are going to lose a lot of battles that we shouldn't have. It's disappointing for sure, but we closed out this season stronger than we've played the rest of the year. We've also been given our chance to get revenge against Iowa State. Before that, I will note that we did sign the last 2 5-stars on our board, so we signed 6 of them just like we did last season. Nothing has changed in that department, and we can get ourselves another Big 12 championship. I don't think it's possible, though, for us to make it into the top 4 and get a bye during the playoffs, even if we win. But I'm also pretty sure that we're in the playoffs no matter what, even if we lost this game, so it doesn't mean that much. Either way, it's going to take 4 wins to get a national championship. Blowing them out's just been a nice little touch on top, though. I didn't even check if Lester DuBois is in any Heisman conversations, but I'm padding his stats at the end in case he is. I've not looked at the team stats or anything, so that's going to be nice to check out. And let's see how everything ended up unfolding. Well, Texas A&M's quarterback won the Heisman Trophy. I think they're undefeated, though, so that kind of makes sense to me. We are getting a playoff game against Ole Miss. And Lester DuBois threw for 33 touchdowns, 3,500 yards, only 6 interceptions, while also rushing for 9 touchdowns, 400-something yards. So this is something that would typically get a quarterback in the Heisman Trophy race. The only thing holding him back is the couple of losses we shouldn't have had, though Jeff Stockton, I think that's the best season we've seen out of a running back while being at Colorado. And then Quinn Elmore, he had a pretty good year too. For a lot of these guys, though, that are our best performers statistically, they're just not going to be back next season because they're either seniors or they're able to go pro. So I've just gotten used to pumping through guys on a 2 to 3 year rotation, with them either transferring out in my plans or eventually leaving. Very rarely players are sticking around for all 4 seasons. We average 40 points per game this year, still not more than Ole Miss, but headed into this matchup, we are better on paper. And I almost forgot to even check the playoff bracket in the first place. Of course, we're going to have to play undefeated USC if we can beat the Rebels. That's the team that we lost to in the playoffs last year in overtime. I swear, this game just intentionally gives you storylines like that. If you look at how we've performed throughout the year, we've passed it a majority of the time. But not as much as Ole Miss has, which has not worked out for them in this game. It's currently about to be 27-0. Now, what I'm really embarrassed about is throughout the course of this game, we actually have blown most of that lead, including just giving up a pass there that should have easily been an interception. But they have used a timeout, so their odds of coming back in this game are incredibly low, even if they did happen to get into the end zone here, which they're not going to do. Our defense is too good for that. Denario Cassé closes this one out. We can make all of these fans here in Boulder pretty happy, but we know what challenge lies ahead of us. It's the game of the week for the reason. We beat the Trojans, we're in the semifinals, and we get our revenge. All of that would be ideal, but we're going to have to come out strong to make it happen. I think it's safe to say that offensively, we're happy with what we're doing so far, but on the defensive side of things, I'm not as happy. So we needed Du Bois to make this play. Getting a lead before halftime would be huge, and that gives us a little bit of a better chance at doing so. There's still 15 seconds left in this half, and that's when we're going to the 5. That was our final timeout, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful, but that was great work there. And as this game goes on, we've been able to maintain our lead. Even better, USC had a safety after that score. I'm not sure how they managed to mess up that bad, but we're going to take advantage of it. We're just piling on the pressure. Jeff Stockton gets his opportunity to continue being the best running back in the country. That's what I'm starting to call him, because he has 20 touchdowns and almost 1,500 yards. The way our defense has just locked up here at the end has really been exactly what we have needed. They always make the play, though, whenever they need it to keep their chances alive. That's how they've been able to get it down to the 1 where they punch it in. But it all comes down to this onside kick anyway, since they have 2 timeouts. In an ideal world for them, they can stop Jeff Stockton and get the ball back, but Jeff Stockton's not going to fail to get a couple yards. Though he was just taken out for an injury timeout, so we'll see how that affects our squad next week. I hope that was just a minor cautionary injury. It was nothing too serious. We can't afford for him to be out, and Quinn Elmore set the Colorado single-season receiving touchdown record. The more games we're playing in a season, though, the more chances to set records like that. As we head into these semifinals, after beating the number 3 team in the country, now we have to play the number 2 team. If we somehow beat Clemson as well, Texas A&M could be there for us in the championship. Just an absolutely brutal slate for Deion Sanders and this Colorado roster, but I still believe that we have enough to get it done. Whether or not Jeff Stockton is going to be healthy for this game, though, is the real question. And if we look at the injury report, besides missing our starting right guard, no one else is here. The way we started this game, though, you would think a lot more of the guys on this team were not playing for us. It's honestly just been embarrassing to be a part of this program. We're going to escape the pressure here, try and get a big gain on the ground. I am really stressing at the fact that we have scored so little throughout this game so far. And I think with the looks that they're giving us, we're just going to be able to take some quicker reads. Now it's Jeff Stockton time. His offensive line's going to need to hold up for him. There's another issue, though. Clemson defensive line has been feasting in this game, which is why I'm rolling out so quickly on a lot of these plays. It's frustrating. It is hard to deal with. We're just handing off for the 2-point conversion. And after getting another stop, we're trying to see, do we have what it takes to beat the Tigers deep? It seems like we do. Vea Okada is going to hang on to that football. We have nurtured this guy into a beast. The kid has been developed well here, and that's man-to-man coverage. Are we going to get it? We do. This has been a really, really good second half for us. Though a missed tackle on 3rd and 15 is bad. We made it in time. It was somehow 4th and inches, so we were able to get it back and completely march down the field versus them. But now we have to sit here and question, is it worth going for it on 4th and 2? I think so, especially since we're so open in the flat. If they end up stopping us on this 3rd down, I think we're just going to have to take our field goal, though Du Bois clearly wants it more. Now we can hand it off, go up the middle, and get in. Clemson's not been handling their remaining time in this game well either. As you can see, they've run the clock down to about 25 seconds, only to get a little bit near midfield. And I feel like their quarterback is just seeing ghost because he's thrown 2 interceptions, no touchdowns in this game so far. If Weston Bryan pulls off this comeback in the final 15 seconds, I'm going to be very upset. I think we have our answer, though, to what they want to do. We know 4 verticals is probably coming. They've gotten a 50-50 look. Swat it. Swat it. Great play. Dallin Penson got a hand on that football. One of our many lockdown cornerbacks. We've given up a Hail Mary in this situation, though. So we're just going to run back there, and we're going to start swatting. No going for interceptions. We're good. Okay, well, that is another one that we've been able to close out. We've made it to the championship. It took scoring a lot of straight points, but we have made it to where we wanted. The problem is we are about to be tested harder than any other game this season because Texas A&M went undefeated in the SEC. Out of curiosity, I have to see how their roster stacks up next to ours I'd say it is very, very similar, though both of us don't have the highest overall quarterbacks in the world. You have to keep in mind, though, theirs was able to win the Heisman Trophy. They scored 41 points per game, so he's still going to play well. But at least since we're about to face off against Texas A&M, we know that they'll probably collapse here. As long as we're not going down early the way we did against Clemson, I'll be happy, which seems to be the case. They're not making it easy to score points in this game, but if we look underneath, we're going to have DeAndre Hill Jr. He got us the first 14 before Texas A&M tied things up. And look at the position we're in as we approach the end of this half. This could be a crazy play or pick. You really never know what you're getting with Dubois. We're just going to have to force some stuff in there, though. They're reviewing it as well, and I think it was a catch. It was. So I am not surprised the refs have given it to us, where we just threw that in there quick. Anything that we throw up to Vea Akata, he is just coming down with, which is why I keep trying to feed him. It's the reason we're sitting in the position that we currently are as we try and finish out this national championship. All of these tight grabs, though, are also making a really big difference. What a play from Quinn Elmore, just jumping over a defender to get in. You know, this turned out to not be a typical team I'd win a championship with, just because I didn't upgrade the players. It was all auto CPU upgrades, so we didn't have a quarterback with perfect accuracy. We didn't have a 99 speed receiver or anything like that. But as I have figured out how to play with this team, I'd say things just keep on getting better and better for us. By now in the national championship, we know that we're going to win, but I'm just running up the score for the love of the game. I worked hard to build Colorado up to this point. I wanted to enjoy it a little bit before we got to celebrate this natty. Deion Sanders gets his first. He probably would get many more, which is why I'm curious to just sim another season or two with the roster that we've built up. The hard part, though, is so many players are going to be departing early to the NFL draft, plus graduating as seniors. And even Ronnie Levine has already left this team. He didn't want to stick around. He was only here for a year. I thought this kid committed to Ole Miss, though. He was the 5-star that was like glitched out and we couldn't get him. But then I just noticed he appeared on our roster. So maybe if you run into that same bug, you do actually get the guy. Hard to tell. Talent developer, though, is the best thing you can go down with a coach because look how many players we're getting drafted. I mean, this is just incredible. We have spent a lot of skill points to get Deion Sanders to that point, but it's been very useful. I guess tactician, if it didn't cost 60 coach points, could be nice too. That ends up making it really challenging to go down all different pathways with your coach build. As you can see, after training results, I did no recruiting during the transfer portal period, so this team could have been even better than it currently is. But we got some crazy ones. We got a plus 15 on Taylor Felix. He was a 5-star, but he only is star development too, so I'm not sure how he got such a crazy bonus, but his quickness is maxed out. Computer must have spent wisely. Lester Dubois is also now a 92 overall. His accuracy never got maxed out, but everything else did. And what I'd say is this team is better than last year's, but it is absolutely no depth. Its non-conference schedule is harder than any other non-conference schedule we've had before. And so we'll sim the season and see what happens, but repeating as national champions is probably going to be pretty hard for this team to achieve. Well, it turns out they made the Big 12 championship versus BYU. The only loss on the season was a 3-point loss on the road against Cincinnati. We knew we'd drop one of them, but everything else looks really good, and either way, we're a playoff team. I think we ended up beating BYU in the conference championship. The score didn't pop up, just based off of the stuff I'm seeing, we did. Heisman Trophy ended up going to a receiver, though. I remember recruiting Gil Peters. He won the Chuck Bednarik Award. There's lots of awards coming around for this team. Lester Dubois ended up getting a lot, just not the Heisman Trophy, even though he had 56 passing touchdowns, only 6 picks, almost 5,000 yards. And then on the ground, he had another 7 and 475 yards. One of the craziest seasons I've ever seen. Leonard Kafka had the best receiving season we've ever had as well. We had 3 guys over 1,000 yards. It makes me wonder how this guy could have possibly won the Heisman Trophy, especially since he only had 17 receiving touchdowns. Oh well, after beating BYU 35-24, we have a bye. But apparently, Texas A&M came for revenge in our rematch, and they took us down, so we're not going to go for back-to-back natties. That's how one extra season would have gone. I'd say this was a pretty successful rebuild. Colorado has looked really good in these last few years. And this is going live after another great weekend of college football, so let me know who lost, who got embarrassed, and who I should rebuild next based off of that.